Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Recently I was inspired by Jordan Peterson talking about the phrase, "Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves." I'll leave a link to that video in the comments. I am anyways a great fan of Jordan Peterson, and this idea of him really struck me. I couldn't stop thinking about it and how it relates to the balance we need in life between being kind but also don't let other people take advantage of you. It inspired me to write a story about a woman named Eliza. Eliza is someone who has always been too much on the dove side, kind, trusting, and always avoiding conflict. But she begins to realize that this leaves her vulnerable. In the story, you'll see how Eliza learns to embrace the wisdom of the serpent without losing her goodness, and how this transformation improves her life. After the story, we'll reflect on how you too can apply these lessons to your own life. We'll talk about finding the balance between being kind-hearted and strong-minded. Discover which side you are on and how you can improve your life with that knowledge. Stick around to the end and I'll give you 3 tips to help you find the balance that this powerful phrase is offering you. So, let's get started, and don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe if you find this helpful. Eliza sat on the cracked steps of an old mansion, staring at the ivy twisting its way through the stones. The place was weathered but still stood tall, much like she felt, fragile on the outside but holding up. She had always been too soft, too trusting. People called her a dove, and they meant it as a compliment, but she wondered if being a dove had left her exposed to the world, defenseless against life's harsher realities. Her kindness had always been her guiding principle, but lately it felt more like a curse. She worked as a counselor, constantly giving more than she had. Her kindness wasn't enough to fix everyone's problems, nor did it shield her from the manipulation of others. The world was full of wolves, it seemed, and she had nothing but soft feathers to guard herself with. That's when she stumbled upon the mansion, abandoned on the outskirts of town. It was said to be haunted, but Eliza didn't believe in ghosts. What drew her to it was an inscription she had read about in a book once. The phrase carved into the door, "Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves." Her thoughts drifted to the saying as she gazed at the mansion. It originated from the Bible, something her grandmother had whispered to her long ago, but Eliza had never paid much attention to it until now. She had always been harmless, like a dove, but wise? She had never thought about what wisdom meant or how it might change her life. Was there more to life than just being good? The letters of the sign were faded, but still visible. They seemed to pulse with a kind of quiet power, and for the first time she wondered what it would be like to be both the dove and the serpent. Someone who could still be kind, but not naive. Someone who could defend herself without losing her soul. A creak echoed from within the mansion, and Eliza paused. She had expected it to be silent, that, like everything else in her life had felt recently. But something stirred inside her. Maybe it was the house, or maybe it was her. She pushed open the door and stepped into the dim hallway, dust swirling around her feet. The inside of the mansion was grand, but worn down. The ceiling arched high above her, and an old chandelier hung by a single chain, teetering as if unsure whether to fall or hold on. Much like her, she thought. Eliza wandered the halls, thinking about the phrase more deeply. Wise as serpents, harmless as doves. She had always been harmless, avoiding conflicts, bending to the will of others, hoping kindness alone would protect her. But life had taught her otherwise. Being good didn't always mean being safe. She paused by a large mirror framed in gold. Her reflection stared back, but she looked different somehow. More alert, more determined. For the first time she realized that being wise didn't mean giving up her kindness. It meant recognizing the wolves around her and being strong enough to protect what was good, even if that meant confronting hard truths. It meant not just letting life happen to her, but navigating it with both heart and mind. Eliza left the mansion that evening, the phrase now etched into her memory. She was still the dove, but she had found her inner serpent. She learned to say no when necessary, to set boundaries, and to trust her instincts about people who didn't have her best interests at heart. She still helped others, still cared deeply, but she no longer let herself be taken advantage of. Her life didn't change overnight, but slowly, surely, she became more than just harmless. She became wise. And with that wisdom came peace, the kind of peace that comes when you know you can handle whatever life throws at you, when you are strong enough to defend what is good, not by being cruel, but by being clever, by being aware. As she stood on a hilltop a few weeks later, surrounded by swaying trees and wildflowers, the warm golden hues of the sunset bathing the landscape in soft light, she whispered a phrase to herself: "Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves." She had learned to be both, and life, she realized, was so much better because of it. This story of the snake and the dove teaches us a valuable lesson about balance. In life, we often find ourselves leaning too much toward one extreme or the other. Where do you stand in this? Here are 3 key points you can reflect on to see how this concept applies to your own life. 1. Are you too much like the dove? Do you avoid confrontation, always trying to keep the peace, even when it means sacrificing your own needs? Reflect on whether your kindness has left you vulnerable to being taken advantage of. 2. Are you too much like the serpent? Are you overly cautious, using your wisdom for self-protection, but missing out on meaningful connections? Ask yourself if you've grown too guarded or manipulative. 3. How can you find balance? Think about how you can combine the wisdom of the serpent with the harmlessness of the dove. How can you be kind but also assertive, wise but not manipulative? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Leave a comment below sharing which side you feel you lean more towards. And if you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps support my work and ensures you don't miss future content on self-growth and life lessons. And always in a beautiful story. Thank you for watching and see you next time.